Hello, welcome to the first official episode of Elevate Your Wellbeing. I am so excited to be here. I've put off creating this podcast for far too long, so it feels really amazing to be here with you. And I'm going to dive in, as I feel I should do, to a little bit more about myself, because maybe you're completely new to me. You might be new to my journey, new to what I offer, or maybe you've been with me for a while and just want to be a little bit nosy in case there's a little bit more about me that you haven't yet heard. So I'm going to keep this episode a little bit more of a in a nutshell episode. And then I'm going to expand on these little bits over the next few episodes so we can get to know each other. So let's dive in. So hopefully you have a glass of water if you're sitting with me at your desk, or you're sitting around your coffee table. Maybe you're going for a walk. So hopefully you're nice and hydrated and just taking in whatever you are doing. I'd love to know. So do come and join me over on Instagram at @IamRachel_UK. Just to highlight, Rachel is spelled Rachael, just to be really awkward. But do come and join me over on Instagram and send me a DM, give me a little comment or a thumbs up over there, or a like, with some love, and just let me know what you're doing as you listen to these episodes. So I'd love to get to know you as you get to know me. So my name's Rachel. I've been a yoga teacher for over 10 years now, but my love of yoga started way back when I was around 14 or 15. And I can remember my mum having a VHS videotape, and it had maybe an hour's worth of content on there for practices, and they were broken down into about 10-minute practices. So I really feel that's where my love of creating these short, easily accessible practices that you can do, because sometimes we just don't want to get on the mat. You know you should, you know you're going to feel better afterwards, but it's just trying to get that momentum up. And realistically, mentally, if you know you're only going to get on the mat for 5 or 10 minutes, it's so much easier to then continue rather than thinking, I've got to do this for an hour. And that really helped me as I started my yoga practice. And I became such an enthusiast for yoga. And I did stop and start for many, many years. I can remember getting back on my mat and thinking, why on earth did I stop? But I know that's part of the process, because we all have those moments, don't we, where we stop and start, and think to ourselves, I'd be so much further along, or I'd be so much better if I had that consistency. And maybe you relate to this, but that has been my journey with understanding why consistency is so important with what we do. So it really started for me around my yoga journey with building a practice for being consistent. And it still plays through today, but it's finally, in the last year or two, I really feel I have that solid, consistent routine. So I dropped back on and off again with my yoga mat over the years, but it wasn't until I decided to return to college and study as a holistic health therapist. And that was going into massage, reflexology, aromatherapy, which I really loved. And I thought it would be nice to do because I felt nice after I went for those treatments, and I felt everyone else deserved to feel that good. So why not share it? And it was so much fun at college, but it was so hard work. I had a job pretty much straight off the bat with a couple of spas. I volunteered with Macmillan, and it was so much harder. And I just did not, it turned into what was for me like that working man's like holiday or busman's holiday. It was like, I don't even want to go to the spa. I have no interest going somewhere where I absolutely loved going. And I knew that wasn't then my journey. But whilst I was studying, my love of yoga, I was like, I'd love to know more. That love of yoga just kept seeping through. I want to know more. Why do we do this? Why do we do that? And I found an at-home study course. Wasn't even online. Literally got your assignments in the post, typed them up on a computer and printed them off and sent them off. And someone read through them and graded you. And it happened to be for a yoga teacher training. And I had absolutely no intention whatsoever of teaching. I just wanted to know a little bit more about the things that we did. And I can look back to being a child at school, and I had this love of biology when I was studying like sciences, but didn't really think to take it further. And that really came through whilst I was at college studying my holistic therapy practices or diplomas, because part of it was anatomy and physiology. And that really is where I grew my love for learning more about the body. And it was through that journey that I decided one day, with life being topsy-turvy, that I was just going to take my yoga mat to the park and roll out my yoga mat and just enjoy some flowing movements under the trees, looking over at the water. I thought this would be really nice. Now, this is about 5 years after I did that at home study course for a teacher training. And I just decided to put it up there on Facebook and put it out there to the world for who would like to come and join me here. It was completely free. And it started off with myself, and my mum joined me, and one of my best friends joined me. And then a few years later, that turned into, I think we had maybe 30, maybe more people turn up to these classes at some point, which was amazing. But then I moved, so it just became something that wasn't accessible. But that's how my journey started as a teacher. I did not intend whatsoever to teach. And when I did, it was just this free offering in the park, which was a lot of fun. And there might be some of you listening that attended those classes. And I knew that as I was teaching these, this is what I wanted to do. Just being in a group of people and helping them really connect with their body. And I hope that you've had that sort of experience with getting on your yoga mat. If you do indeed practice yoga, maybe yoga's not something you've practiced yet. Maybe you've not found the right practice or the right teacher. Maybe you're not quite there with that embodiment practice. And that's what I would love to share with you in these episodes, of helping you get that connection. Because for me, yoga is all about just, it literally is that connection, mind, body, and observing. It's switching on that observation. How are you feeling? What does my body need? What do I need? And that was really my intention behind what I was teaching. And those free classes turned into weekly classes at a community centre. I ended up training as a pre and postnatal teacher. And that really was because so many people got in touch asking for those type of classes. So I felt there was a need. And I had an offering to take over a space, so I opened a yoga studio, which was amazing, but sadly that closed down in August 2020 with everything going on in the world. It was just easier to let that go. And then that's how I moved into the space of coaching and just being able to connect with people online and help people expand into just more than a yoga practice. And that's something I will dive into a little bit more on another episode, as to why being a yoga teacher doesn't really resonate with me anymore, because it's so much more than the yoga. And there's so many layers to yoga, but I feel that's still not understood as much. And I feel I can help spread that message more as a well-being coach, as an embodiment coach, as a mindset mentor, rather than just I say quite loosely, a yoga teacher. And that's really my thoughts and feelings with that, with where I am at the moment. So I look forward to diving into that a little bit more with you as well. And it's amazing just wrapping that 10-year plus journey, probably about 15 years plus journey, from when I studied that holistic health or holistic healing therapy course to where I am now. but I would love to dive into so many practices to help you create that connection with your mind, with your body, that embodied practice with how you can really elevate your well-being, because we do truly deserve to feel as brilliant, as great as we can as possible. So I'd love to know, where are you at on your well-being journey? What would you like to feel when you wake up in the morning? What practices have you tried but maybe struggled with? So do let me know. I've given you a little snippet about my journey, where I started and how I've got to here. I will dive into these even more, and I will be sharing on my stories on Instagram a little question box each week. So if you do have any questions, if there are any topics you'd love me to dive into more, then head on over and catch that story as it goes up. Remember, it's at I am Rachael _UK. You can always send me a DM. But I'm going to leave this one here with you. So my intention with these podcasts is for us to get to know each other better, for me to help you bridge the gap between how you're feeling, if you're feeling what you don't want to feel every day in your body, to get to feeling great every single day, because I truly believe everyone deserves to. You deserve to feel great every day. And one of my favorite practices is the journal. And you might easily be able to free write, but my intention at the end of every practice or every podcast, I do see them more like a practice, but every podcast, my intention at the end of every podcast is to leave you with a journaling prompt. And you might write this in your journal, you might be opening up a document on your computer or on your phone, it really doesn't matter. But I'd love you to just give yourself a moment or two now to ask yourself, how do I feel right now? How do I feel right now? How do I feel right now? So thank you very much for joining me. I intend to pop these podcasts up every Friday for a Feel Good Friday. So I'm going to be diving in a little bit more about my yoga practice, my yoga journey, moving into well-being coach. I am a massive advocate for hydration. So we'll be diving into water and well-being, morning routines, how you can create a morning routine, all these sorts of things. But if there's anything you would love to hear of first, head on over to Instagram and let me know. And I look forward to joining you next Friday.